My hands trembled as I gripped the steering wheel, hidden in the shadows of that quiet suburban street, watching the scene unfold like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. There he was, my husband Jack, stepping out of his car with a bouquet of roses. Roses, the kind he used to bring me on random Tuesdays just because, and walking up to a house that wasn't ours. The door swung open, and a woman with long auburn hair and a smile that lit up the porch pulled him into an embrace, their lips meeting in a kiss that felt longer than any we'd shared in years. But it was the little boy who ran out next, maybe 4 years old, his curly hair bouncing as he leaped into Jack's arms with a squeal of "Daddy, you're home!" That made my world tilt sideways. Daddy! The word hit me like a physical blow, echoing in my chest, and I felt my breath catch, my vision blur with hot tears as the truth slammed into me. My husband had another life, another family. Every single Sunday while I sat at home folding laundry and planning dinners he barely tasted. Before I pour out the rest of how my heart got shattered into a million pieces and how I somehow managed to glue it back together stronger than before, I want to gently ask you to subscribe to this channel and tap that like button. These stories come out every day, real, raw, and straight from the soul. And if you've ever loved someone with everything you had, only to watch it all crumble, or if you've had to pick yourself up and start over when you thought you never could, you're not alone here. We're in this together. I guess the beginning feels like a lifetime ago now, but it was only 7 years back when everything still sparkled with possibility. I was 29, living in a tiny one-bedroom in Wicker Park, Chicago, hustling as a junior copywriter at a boutique ad agency. My days were a blur of client pitches, endless revisions, and late-night takeout from the Thai place downstairs. I wasn't looking for anything serious. After a string of guys who ghosted or cheated or just faded away, I'd convinced myself I was fine on my own. Then came that rainy October morning in 2018. I dashed into Intelligentsia Coffee on Milwaukee Avenue, shaking water off my umbrella, late for a brainstorming session. That's when I collided with him, literally. My venti latte exploded across his chest, soaking through a light gray button-down that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. I stammered apologies, grabbing napkins from the counter, but he just laughed, that deep, easy laugh that made the baristas turn and look. "Hey, no harm done," he said, blue eyes crinkling, "though I might need hazard pay for third-degree burns." His name was Jack Thompson, 33, software engineer at a fintech startup downtown. He insisted on buying me a replacement coffee, and by the time we sat down at a corner table, me missing my meeting, him skipping his stand-up, we'd already traded numbers. Our first date was 2 nights later. Tacos at Big Star in the patio heat lamps, margaritas that went down too easy, and conversation that flowed like we'd known each other forever. He told me about growing up in Madison, Wisconsin, lakeside summers, Friday night fish fries, parents who fought too much and finally split when he was 16. Made me promise myself I'd do marriage right, he said, squeezing my hand across the table. I opened up about my own messy history. Dad walking out when I was 10, Mom raising me and my brother alone in a small town outside Cleveland, always warning me not to trust too easily. But with Jack, trusting felt natural. We fell hard and fast. Weekends at the Art Institute, strolling hand in hand through the Impressionists. Lazy Sundays making pancakes in his Logan Square apartment, listening to old vinyl, Springsteen, Tom Petty, the kind of music that makes you believe in forever. He met my mom over Thanksgiving that first year. She pulled me aside afterward and whispered, "He's a keeper, Em." By spring, he'd moved into my place, our books and records merging on shelves like our lives were meant to intertwine. The proposal came on Christmas Eve 2019. We'd driven up to Wisconsin to spend the holiday with his mom and stepdad. After dinner, he suggested a walk around the frozen lake near their house. Snow was falling soft and thick, muffling everything except our footsteps. Halfway around, he stopped, pulled a small box from his coat pocket, and dropped to one knee right there in the moonlight. "Emily Grace Harper," he said, voice shaking just a little, "you make every ordinary day feel like magic. Marry me." The ring was simple, a round diamond on a thin gold band, but it caught the light like a promise. I said yes before he even finished the question. We married in September 2020, small because of COVID, 50 guests in a garden venue outside the city, string lights and wildflowers, my brother walking me down the aisle to an acoustic version of Here Comes the Sun. Jack's vows made me cry. I promise to choose you every single day, in the big moments and the quiet ones, through whatever life throws at us. I believed him with every fiber of my being. Life settled into a rhythm that felt safe, solid. We bought the house in Elmhurst the following spring. A 1920s craftsman with hardwood floors that creaked just right. A big backyard perfect for the dog we kept talking about getting. I got promoted to senior copywriter. Jack's startup went public, bonuses rolling in. Then in early 2022, 2 pink lines on a test taken in our upstairs bathroom while he waited outside the door, pacing. Lily arrived that July, all 7 pounds 2 ounces of perfection, with Jack's dimples and my dark hair. The labor was long, 22 hours, but he never left my side, letting me crush his hand, whispering encouragement, crying harder than I did when she finally cried. Those first months were a haze of sleepless nights and pure wonder. He'd get up for the 3 a.m. feedings even when he had early meetings, rocking her in the glider we'd assembled together, humming off-key lullabies. We were a team, or so I thought. The Sundays started changing slowly, almost imperceptibly. At first it was occasional, golf league with the guys from work. He'd say, kissing me goodbye around 8 while I nursed Lily on the couch. I'd wave him off with a smile, grateful he had an outlet. Work was stressful for him. The startup life meant constant pressure, late nights debugging code. Golf seemed harmless. But by the time Lily was 2, it became every Sunday without fail. He'd be out the door by 7, clubs rattling in the trunk, promising to be back by 4. Some weeks he made it. Others he'd text around dinner time. One more hole, lost track of time. Home soon. I'd keep his plate warm, then eventually scrape it into Tupperware when he stumbled in smelling like grass and beer, collapsing on the couch with apologies. I started to resent those clubs gathering dust in the garage Monday through Saturday, only to be lovingly polished Sunday mornings. Little things piled up. The way he'd check his phone and angle the screen away. How he'd shower immediately when he got home, even in winter. The random charges on our joint credit card. Kids' clothing from a Carter's an hour north. Toys from a Target I'd never been to. When I asked, he'd brush it off. Gifts for Mike's new baby. Or donation drive at work. I wanted to believe him. Confrontation felt like risking the fragile peace we'd built. My mom noticed on one of her visits. We were at the park pushing Lily on the swings when she said quietly, "He seems distracted lately." I defended him automatically. "Long hours, Mom." But her words lodged like a splinter. That night, after Lily was asleep, I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Us at Navy Pier, laughing on the Ferris wheel. Jack holding newborn Lily like she was made of glass. Our anniversary dinner at Girl and the Goat, his hand on my knee under the table. When had the light in his eyes dimmed, doubt turned into quiet investigation. I started paying attention to mileage on his SUV, hundreds of extra miles some weeks that 9 holes couldn't explain. His golf buddies' wives posted Instagram stories of Sunday brunches and family outings. None mentioned golf with Jack. One evening at book club, I casually asked Sarah if Dave had been golfing much. She looked confused. "Dave? He hasn't touched his clubs since last summer." My stomach dropped, but I played it cool. That night, I waited until Jack was asleep and checked his phone. Password still Lily's birthday. Thank God he was sentimental. Recent texts were mundane, but the history was scrubbed clean. Deleted messages from someone saved as A. Just initials. My heart hammered as I searched our cloud backup. Nothing. He was covering tracks. The confrontation I rehearsed in my head a dozen times never happened cleanly. Instead, it built over weeks until one Friday night in March 2024. After he'd snapped at me for asking about his weekend plans, I lost it. Lily was at a sleepover. We were alone in the kitchen, wine breathing on the counter. Jack talked to me. "You're gone every Sunday, you're distant. You're deleting texts. What is going on? He went pale, then angry, defensive walls slamming up. You're paranoid, Em. I need space, okay? Work is killing me. Space. From his family. I dropped it, but the resolve hardened. The next morning, when he left at dawn with his usual "love you, see you this afternoon," I waited 15 minutes, strapped a sleepy Lily into her car seat with promises of donuts, and followed. The drive north felt endless. I kept distance, heart pounding to the rhythm of the wipers. It was drizzling gray skies mirroring my mood. He exited toward a town called Geneva, winding streets of historic homes and boutique shops. When he turned into a driveway of a butter-yellow Victorian with a wraparound porch, I pulled over a block away, killing the engine. That's when the door opened. Alyssa. She looked maybe 30, fit and glowing in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, stepped out smiling. Jack handed her the roses, kissed her slow and deep, the kind of kiss that spoke of familiarity, of coming home. Then Tyler burst out, launching himself at Jack's legs. Jack swung him up effortlessly, nuzzling his neck while the boy giggled. They looked happy, complete. The three of them disappeared inside, curtains fluttering closed. I sat frozen, rain drumming on the roof, Lily asking from the back why we weren't getting donuts. Minutes or hours passed. I couldn't tell, until the sobs broke free, ugly and uncontrollable. Everything I'd built, everything I'd believed, crumbled in that moment. The drive home was a blur. I stopped for donuts anyway, letting Lily eat hers in the car while I pretended mine didn't taste like ash. That afternoon, I dropped her at my friend Mia's. "Mommy has a headache," and started digging. His work laptop yielded gold. Hidden folder. Photos of Alyssa pregnant, ultrasound images, Tyler's newborn footprints. Emails dating back 5 years. Flirty at first, then loving, then logistical. "Can't wait for our Sunday. Tyler asked for Daddy today." Bank statements transferred monthly to an account in her name. The math was brutal. He'd been supporting 2 households for years. When Jack walked in that evening whistling like nothing was wrong, I was waiting in the living room, evidence printed and spread across the coffee table. Lily was asleep upstairs. His face cycled through confusion, recognition, devastation. "Ing. How long, Jack?" He sank into the armchair, head in hands. The story tumbled out in broken pieces. Met Alyssa at a conference in Vegas, 2019. One-night stand turned ongoing affair. She got pregnant in 2021, right around the time I was struggling with postpartum depression after Lily. He panicked, promised Alyssa he'd leave me but couldn't. Bought the house in her name, set up the double life. Sundays were his with them, weekdays and Saturdays, his attempt at being the husband and father he thought he could still be to us. "I love you both," he said finally, voice cracking. I didn't know how to choose. I laughed, bitter, broken. "You didn't choose, Jack. You lied. Every day for years." He begged. Promised counseling, promised to end it with her, promised anything. But the trust was ash. I told him to pack a bag and leave. He cried, actually cried, while stuffing clothes into a duffel, pleading with me to think about Lily. As if he had. The door closed behind him, and I slid down it to the floor, sobs tearing out of me until my throat was raw. The weeks that followed were survival mode. Lawyer appointments downtown, tears in parking garages afterward. Filing for divorce in Illinois. No-fault state, so adultery didn't win me much, but the financial deception did. Discovery phase uncovered more. Credit cards in his name only, racked up for their life. The judge awarded me the house, primary custody, substantial child support and alimony. Lily's confusion broke me most. "Where's Daddy?" Every morning, every bedtime. I kept explanations age-appropriate. "Daddy lives somewhere else now, but he loves you very much." While inside I raged at him for putting her through this. Friends became lifelines. Mia moved in for a month, sleeping in the guest room, making sure I ate. Girls' nights turned into therapy sessions over wine on my back porch. My brother flew in from Denver, helped me change locks, install cameras just in case. Work gave me leave, then remote flexibility when I returned. Therapy started in May, twice a week at first. Dr. Patel, kind eyes behind wire frames, helped me untangle the guilt. You didn't miss signs, Emily. He hid them masterfully. This is not your failure. We worked through grief, denial, rage, bargaining, depression. I journaled obsessively, pages and pages of hurt, then slowly glimmers of hope. Summer brought small victories. I painted the master bedroom a soft sage green, erasing traces of him. Planted hydrangeas along the fence, something I'd always wanted that he'd vetoed. Took Lily to the pool every weekend, her delighted splashes healing something in me. By fall I was running 3 miles at dawn, then 5, then training for a half marathon. The rhythm of feet on pavement became meditation, anger burning off with every stride. I joined a local gym, took up kickboxing. The first time I landed a solid roundhouse on the heavy bag, imagining his lying face, I laughed out loud through tears. Dating felt impossible at first. Too raw. But in January 2025, Mia dragged me to a singles mixer at a brewery in the city. I met Ryan, divorced dad, teacher, easy smile. We texted for weeks before a coffee date turned into dinner. Then concerts at Millennium Park, slow and cautious. Nothing serious yet, but it reminded me I was still desirable, still capable of butterflies. The blog started as private entries on a password-protected site. Letters from the ruins, I called it. Then one night, wine-fueled courage made me hit publish anonymously. First post, the story of following him that Sunday. Comments trickled, then flooded, hundreds of women sharing similar betrayals. It grew into a community. Red flags, healing tips, stories of rebirth. A podcast invited me on. The other woman wasn't the problem, and listeners doubled overnight. Jack found out, of course. Angry emails, then pleading. This is destroying my life, Em. Take it down. I didn't. Instead, I wrote about forgiveness, not for him but for myself. About choosing peace over bitterness. 1 year later, almost to the day of that devastating Sunday, I sat in my garden at sunset. Lily, now 5, chased fireflies in the grass, her laughter pure music. The house was ours now, fully mortgage refinanced in my name, only walls covered in new memories. Her artwork, photos from our girls' trip to Florida, my half-marathon medal hanging by the door. Alyssa reached out last month through the blog's contact form. He's doing it again. New work trips. I thought you should know. I felt sorrow, not satisfaction. Replied gently. Leave before he steals more of your years. You deserve better. She did. 2 weeks later, took Tyler and moved closer to her parents. Jack's life unraveled publicly after that. Lost his job when the affair pattern came out, moved into a small apartment alone. He sees Lily every other weekend, supervised for now. She's warming to him again slowly, and I've made peace with that for her sake. As for me, I'm 36, stronger than I ever imagined. Promoted to creative director last quarter. Leading campaigns for brands I admire, traveling to shoots in New York and LA. Ryan and I are taking it day by day. He's patient, kind, makes Lily giggle with silly voices. Norus. Some nights I still feel the echo of that collapse the moment everything broke. But mostly I feel whole. Rooted. Alive. My husband disappeared every Sunday, and when I finally followed him, I nearly collapsed under the weight of his betrayal. But I didn't stay down. I rose, fiercer, freer, and finally truly mine.